go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go again. All right. Streaming is starting soon. Probably need an intro for this. I am live now, though. Yes. Okay. So this is the premiere of the messy middle. I'm trying to figure it out of the CEO Innovation Masterclass. So yes, and I have an errant hair or two that are just deciding to do their own thing. So I am Dr. Diane Dye. I am the strategist executives bring in the room to grow and innovate their companies. Let's try that again. I'm Dr. Diane Dye. I am the strategist that CEOs bring into the room when they are looking to grow and scale their companies. Bam. All right. So watching this, we are going to go ahead and bring this up, adding to stage. Bam. I love it. I love that it actually puts, okay, I know that I've got to bring the TikTok over here because this camera is really the primary camera that matters. Love you guys. But until I figure out how to use TikTok and Streamer at the same time, hey, Tony, this is how it goes. So I'm excited. Welcome to breaking the $10 million plateau, the CEO Innovation Masterclass. This class is for anyone in an established company that wants to scale the company past 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, all the way up to 50, even 100 million. There are different ways that you have to behave at different parts of this journey. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. The only place this is not showing the slides is on TikTok. So until I learn how to integrate TikTok, which is, I'm keeping a handy dandy little list over here of things that I have to do. Number one, I have to hook into my Zoom from StreamYard. So that is going to make all the difference when people showing up who registered for the masterclass and not. I need an intro to this and an outro. I also need to figure out how to integrate TikTok because I want you guys on the journey with me. So far, those are the things I figured out I need to do, and I haven't even been live for 3 minutes. So thank you so much. Thank you. I love the tweed kind of vibe going. All right. So the CEO Innovation Masterclass, I want to start with this idea that breakdowns are not failures. They are missed experiments. I will say that again. Breakdowns are not failures. They are missed experiments. Right now, you may be going through it. You may be going through something today. And if you are, say in the chat, yes, I'm going through something right now. I'm going through something in my business. I'm going through something in my life. It is essential to frame those breakdowns as opportunities to experiment. And the only way that they actually do break down is because you didn't experiment. So breakdowns are not failures. They are missed experiments. If you feel like you may be missing an experiment, I'm going to flip over here. I think I can look at the chat. If you're in the chat, say hello. Say if you have a breakdown, it's a missed experiment. And I'm going to, I see comments, show comments on stage. I like that. So I can show comments on stage for anyone who's watching. If you're watching, do drop in and say hi and where you're from. That's a good starter. Say hi and where you are from. Say hi and where you are from. Breakdowns are not failures. They are missed experiments. If you feel like you're failing, it's a heavy feeling to feel like you're failing. So when you reframe that, you now prepare yourself to be able to experiment. So what does that look like? Let's talk a little bit about my dad. So my dad, he's passed on. He passed on when he was 67, and he built a successful hotel property after selling his successful paving company. He owned a company called Medina Paving, and Medina Paving basically paved most of the small part of Texas that I lived in. And he utilized the funds from that successful paving company to build a successful hotel property. It's actually kind of cool story. My siblings, and the whole reason why the intersection in a little town called Lytle, Texas exists right now is because my sister flew over the land to do a land survey to understand where power and water could run to. And then we took pictures, we delivered it to the city. I say we, I wasn't born yet. I wasn't born at this time. So a lot of what exists at that little corner today exists because my family put in the groundwork for it. So the hotel itself was really, really helpful to the community. And it acted as a hub for a lot of trucking that goes down to Laredo on I-35 was able to continue rolling because there was a place back then to stay. There wasn't a place back then to stay. Today there is, but there really wasn't. So my dad saw a need, he filled it. The hotel was successful. And then something happened. He got an offer from Best Western, and Best Western offered him the opportunity to become a franchisee. And after seeing these franchise guidelines, control kicked in, and he said no. So I don't know if you have experience with control kicking in when you want to protect something that you've built, but this is a common experience, really, really common experience for executives who have received some measure of success in their organizations. They simply start, instead of becoming more innovative, they become more restrictive, and they become more restrictive to begin to protect what they have already built. What this looks like is grasping onto business as usual. So they'll have a way that they do business. They'll have a way that they do things, and they just hold on to it. I mean, if there's anyone here, if you're even watching on the replay, if there's anyone here who can identify with that, business as usual feels comfortable. It feels safe. It feels like something that's known. Drop that in the chat. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going on TikTok over here, so I can see what's happening over here on TikTok. But business as usual begins to feel safe. And after seeing the franchise guidelines, my dad said no. And that was kind of the beginning of the end. And it was the beginning of the end because he maintained status quo for a certain amount of time, as we all do. And then things started breaking. Technology started starting to advance, although not as much as it advanced after he sold the hotel. But still, there was innovation that was happening within the hotel industry that he did not have his eyes on because he did not have that support of that franchise that was keeping up on everything. So slowly, slowly over the years, the hotel began to falter. And after a number of years, he began to distract. and he cheated on my mom. And that was the first domino that fell, was that the distraction, the need to have distraction from the core problem created a situation where my dad really just wanted to get away. Have you ever experienced that? You know, something going wrong in your life, and instead of facing it head on, you just get away. You're just like, I've got to get away from this. So you take the trip, um, you distract any way that you can. That's what happened with my dad. And so here's a truth bomb about scaling. First of all, every tech company rapid prototypes, and every thriving company rapidly experiments. They rapidly experiment, but they don't create change fatigue. They change in a more controlled way. And that's how they know that their experiments are real. Most CEOs, they stop experimenting once success feels fragile. Innovation gives way to protective attitudes, and studies reveal that many CEOs and executive teams become increasingly conservative after their initial success. So instead of maintaining the really cool entrepreneurial vibe that they started the business with, they start self protecting. So, when you stop telling yourself no to new ideas, new people, new methods, things start to change. Things start to change. So, most of the people who are sitting in this room watching this replay are staring at or scaling past a 10 to $50 million wall, maybe a million. But what got you here, relentless control, independent, self-reliance, it's not going to get you through it. The path forward requires a different approach. So what do I mean about the path forward? Well, things have really changed over time. Things have really changed. If you look at the spans of business, I'm going to shift this around so that I get a little bit better view on TikTok too. If you look at the spans of business, there are four distinct generations of business. Generation one was the industrial generation. This was all about efficiency from 1900 to 1970. And it was the industrial revolution. It was the time period where it was hands-on labor, hard work. That was the industrial revolution. Then you have the information generation. So the information generation was from 1970 to 2000, and this is the advent of the internet. So information and knowledge, you could sell it, you could capitalize on it. The people who were in the space of creating and cultivating information were at a premium because all that information was newly going on the internet. Then you have the next generation, which is the innovation and creativity generation. This is from 2000 to 2020. This was where people were getting real creative with their ideas and their concepts, and you began to see a lot of great companies popping out of this innovation and creativity phase. And then finally, the generation that we're in now. And the generation that we're in now is the AI plus adaptation generation. This generation really requires agility, the ability to change, to innovate quickly. We have a lot of changes that are happening in our world right now, and the ability to utilize AI and to adapt and to iterate is more important now than ever because things are changing faster than they ever have. So that's what really gets us in the space where when we say no, like my dad did, which was the beginning of the end, it really does impact us. So name one place You've said no to experimentation this quarter. Name one place. Drop that in the chat. What's it costing you? What's it costing you not to be experimenting, not to, or maybe you are and you're trying a whole bunch of different things, but you're not experimenting in the way that's actually going to teach you anything. You're trying things, but it's kind of like all over the place and it's causing you anxiety. So, name one place you've said no to experimentation this quarter, and what is it costing you? The higher you climb, the smaller the room gets. There is a statistic that says 72% of business owners, CEOs, executives, they are working alone. If you've ever heard it's lonely at the top, it's true. The higher you climb, the smaller the room gets. And this is part of my personal mission. I have a personal mission to just destroy that. It's lonely at the top. I believe that when it is safe, we are not as lonely because we can demask a bit. When we're masked up, we say things like, I should already know how to fix this. I can't show weakness. If I slow down, everything collapses. These are the things that we tell ourselves when we're masked up. If anyone can identify with that, drop yes in the chat. Talk about which ones you might identify with. The I should already know how to fix this. I can't show weakness. If I slow down, everything collapses. The reality is that CEOs, business owners, they wear control like armor, but control without collaboration becomes a cage. The wrong collaboration cage hurts you even more. So, what do I mean about the wrong collaboration cage? The bigger your company grows, the fewer people feel like they can challenge your thinking. And the more dangerous it becomes to go it alone. So if you're not going it alone, you might be surrounded by a bunch of yes men. Have you ever been in an organization like that? Surrounded by a lot of yes men. That is the antithesis to the ability to be able to innovate. The flip side of that is then I'll just do it alone. If everyone's always going to be telling me yes and I don't feel like I can open up, I'm just going to do it alone. So, 72% of CEOs report frequent loneliness. 61% say loneliness directly hinders their performance. And isolated CEOs are less likely to experiment. They just are. Status quo becomes very, very comfortable, and it becomes very scary to be able to be real with people. Stress leads to more conservative decisions, less adaptability, and then companies led by lonely CEOs show lower innovation velocity. Now, if you're watching this and you're an investor or you're on a board, this is something that's really important to know, that you might not have optics on this. You may not be able to see how lonely or not lonely your C-suite is. But if you are investing in a company or you've purchased a company and you have a lonely CEO in place, your innovation is going to be slower. Your time to realize the growth of that investment is going to be slower. So, CEOs who build peer networks outperform those who operate solo. There's a problem with peer networks, though. Most people arrive at peer networks masked up. They arrive wearing the mask of, I'm doing better than I actually am. I'm here to help. I'm here to educate you, therefore, not getting the help themselves. They show up like it's not my turn yet in the hot seat. so I can't ask for help. So, what mask are you wearing right now? What mask are you putting on? Are you putting on the I don't know, so I'm not going to say anything mask? Are you putting on the mask of um I'm an inconvenience. I'm a burden. I will tell you that that's been one of mine. That's been one of mine. That I think that no one's here for me. No one's here for me. So I shouldn't speak up about what I'm going through. There's a number of masks that we wear. And those masks are real barriers to innovation. I'll tell you about another client I had. One of my first management consulting clients out the gate, they hit it big. They hit it really big. They were in big retail. They were in Ulta, Sephora. They had a big celebrity moment. Katy Perry was wearing their product during the Grammys. They had everything going for them. They were backstage at the Oscars. They had everything going for them. And then, so I worked with them on a business plan and put it in front of some investors. And those investors offered them $1 million for 20% of their company, Shark Tank style. No joke. And they said no. They said no. And they said, no, we want to keep control. We want to keep control of the company. And I'm like, well, you don't lose control for 20%. If you're giving an investor 20% of your company, you have 80% still. But they didn't want to give up anything. And they're like, no, our formulation is great. We're in Ulta, we're in Sephora. Katy Perry's already taken notice. We're on our way to the top. We don't need their money. We have enough runway, and we're just gonna own this whole thing. And they said no. And that was the end of my engagement with them because I could no longer do anything for them. And what happened was they had a competitor come into the market, and that competitor basically outspent them on formulation. They had a better formulation than my client, and soon they were knocked out of Sephora, and then they were knocked out of Ulta, and then everything else fell away, and that product is not around today. So it wasn't competitors that stalled her growth, though. It was control. Because if they would have been willing to, what I say is be willing to unlearn what you think you know. So if they would have been willing to release that control, they would have had the $1 million investment. They would have been able to innovate on their formulation. So when she finally opened her circle, I wish I would say she did, but she didn't. She never opened her circle. That product died. And when I was researching what happened to the company, I found out that it was a couple, and one of them is no longer with us today. So there's a deep cost to this. And every breakdown hides a doorway. So conviction's voice stills you, leads you, reassures you, enlightens you, encourages you, comforts you, calms you, convicts you. And how do you get conviction's voice? You take action. You experiment. What stops you from experimentation is fear. Fear rushes you, pushes you, frightens you, confuses you, discourages you, worries you, makes you obsess. It condemns you. All of these things stop innovation dead in its tracks. And every breakdown hides a doorway to a way you can innovate, you can grow. So this is how I came up with critical opportunity thinking, or critical opportunity method. If you look at creating critical opportunity on Amazon, that's my workbook. And the counterintuitive method to turn breakdowns into breakthrough opportunities. Yes, we are in class right now. the that is critical opportunity thinking. So you want to begin to think of all of your problems as an opportunity for innovation. So I'd like to take one real challenge from the chat and reframe it live. So I've got a number of people watching here on various platforms, and I'm going to take one real challenge from the chat, something that somebody's going through. A business challenge is great, but if not, any challenge will do. And we're gonna use critical opportunity thinking to turn that challenge into a gold mine for innovation and for a way to move forward. So whenever I see somebody's challenge come across, I will live workshop that and watch what happens when we shift from fear to experimentation. So, who has something that they want to live work on? All right. Looks like we have something. Okay. All right, Dr. Di, I'm running out of runway, running out of cash. Okay. I'm running out of cash. My company is about to tip, but it's going to be about 6 months before it does. I'm afraid I'm going to run out of cash before then. Whew. Oh, that's a scary. Yes. Okay. So I'm afraid to, okay, I'll say so. No runway. I'm afraid to run out of cash. All right. So what can I do to get the cash? Okay. So let's first start out by making yourself aware of the hemorrhage of the cash. What, and we want to ask any question but why here. What is the reason for the hemorrhage of cash? Okay. All right. So, I'm a property investor, the market has stalled out and it costs a lot in interest to hold these properties. Right. So, that's something where we were talking about. We have outside issues, outside interests that are impacting you. The outside interests are impacting you, and this is not something that you have control over. So your first step in all of this is to become aware of the hemorrhage and become conscious about all of its elements. But the other part of this is to understand that you have what it takes to conquer this problem. And that whatever we come up with for you today, we're going to be shifting from fear to experimentation. So, and I'd like to encourage others who are watching to also share from their experience. Now, don't give advice, but share from their experience. So, in a time where you've been running out of cash and you have been just so close to success, so very, very close, what has worked for you in that? When we shift from fear to experimentation, it's very important to avoid overwhelm. So, what does that mean? We're going to set a time bound frame around this experiment because experiments without deadlines become distractions. We're going to predefine success and failure. Your job, number 3, we're going to delegate the how. So your job is to shape direction, not micromanage what you learn. And that's very important because when you're willing to unlearn what you think you know, you can learn things you never knew. So finally, we want to close the loop. So every experiment must produce an insight. Document it, decide, move on. So we are talking about the time-bound frame first. How long are we going to give? I would suggest a week. I would suggest a week to really dig into the issues that are standing in the way of having the cash flow you need. So let's look at things like due dates. Let's look at things like alternative uses for the property. Let's look at loopholes. So we want to continue to predefine success and failure. So what success looks like is reduction of holding cost or reduction of other costs in order to lengthen the time frame. So you want to look at what is the critical path to revenue generation here. What is your critical path? Notice we're just looking at cost right now because cost is draining runway. Cost in relation to runway. Sometimes business owners say revenue solves all. Revenue solves all. But the fact of the matter is your revenue will continue to be impacted and you won't have a solution, right? You're just going to dump, maybe you'll dump loans on top of it, or you'll dump investors on top of it, and you'll continue to dump that. But until you solve the core problem of the revenue drain, any amount of revenue that you pour on top of that is just going to be sucked back up. So success looks like reducing overall costs to produce the same revenue or greater. Failure looks like failing to reduce cost and not increasing revenue. So we've defined success and failure for you. Now we want to delegate the how. So your job is to shape direction, not micromanage the discovery. So this is your homework. You want to come up with no more than 3 directed questions around the burn of your cash flow that you can dig into, things that you can ask. Once you have that, you want to begin to ask those questions, and you want to ask those questions around people who can affect the outcome. Every experiment must produce insight. Document that insight, decide on that insight, and move on. So here is a 5-day method, because I said this experiment should take 5 days. Here's the 5-day method. 5 days, 5 decisions, 1 breakthrough for you. You ready for it? All right. Day 1. This is today. We are assessing and defining. So the next slide I have, and I'm going live on multiple platforms, has an organizational pain scale. It's very similar to when you go to the doctor and they say, how much does it hurt? The same thing is true here. So we're going to test these holding costs and outgoing costs of the company against the organizational pain scale. And we're going to figure out which costs hurt the most. It may be holding costs of the properties. It may not be. It may be something else. So we're going to use the organizational pain scale to find the real domino holding the other dominoes up. This is the one thing that if you address it, you hit it, and the rest go down. Okay, day 2, this is tomorrow. You're going to diagnose the people and process risk, map the friction around the problem. So, what is creating the increased cost? Who is involved with it? Day 3, now you're going to design your options and your trade offs. So, you're going to model what's possible and resourced. So, with your map, now you're going to be looking, you're going to have your brain is going to start saying that's not possible, that's not possible, that's not possible. I want you to challenge you to flip impossible into what is possible. And then once you flip that, you flip into what is possible and what you can resource. And this might not be paid resources that you're doing. You're in a cash crunch. Your solution should not be to spend more ever. If you're like, I'm just putting good money after bad, what do I do? I'm not going to say that your solution is to spend more. Your solution is to understand and trim and optimize and utilize it as an opportunity to think differently. Business as usual will kill you. Now that you know your options and trade-offs, then you section them out. You create your 30, 60, 90 action plan. This action plan is made up of several short actions that you can take. Your 30 days should include some very quick wins for you to increase that runway. Your 60, you're starting to maybe involve some more people in it. And by 90 days, you should have some ways to innovate from this. Now, some markets, and I don't know where you are, but some markets allow Airbnb-ing. Some, on top of Airbnb, allow Airbnb arbitrage, where you're not actually the one who is operating the Airbnb. Someone else is, and they're paying your mortgage for you. And that operates as a standard rental agreement. Some have mixed use and the ability to change the use of a property. There's a lot of creative ways to do this, but if you think of all the creative ways in the world, right, you can overwhelm yourself by not breaking out into a plan. So by day 4, you're going to be deciding and sequencing. And by day 5, this is where you craft your messaging. You craft your messaging to the people in the company that are involved. You craft your messaging to those who are for you, against you, and know really how to talk to these people so that you can then enroll them in helping you along that journey. So I would say, yes, the financial domino is your first domino, but how that falls is up to your exploration. So I created something to make this a little bit easier, and it's called the CEO Innovation Cohort, where it's a place where that I have created so that business problems never need to be faced alone again. And it provides immediate clarity, defined first steps, and visible relief and innovation from the problems that you're facing in business. CEOs who are part of this feel momentum in real time. One of my CEOs who went through this went from 3 million to 30 million using this method. Another transformed a 75-year legacy brand in 60 days. Moving from resistance to a loose state of innovation is so incredibly powerful. So here's a interactive breakthrough exercise for you. Now that you're thought about your domino, your one thing, I want you to name it. Name what you're going through in one word or short phrase. Name your biggest current breakdown, but do it in one word. And then you're going to rate the pain honestly. You're going to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. I have an organizational pain scale here if you want it. DM pain, and I'll send it over to you and invite you to the live cohort. Once you have the pain identified, you want to reframe it without judgment. You want to reframe it as an opportunity. So I'm going to go back to our example here. So I have the opportunity to optimize my company's cash flow. So when I obtain investments, I will have a lean, well operating organization that churns out revenue and profitability. That gives you some focus, that reframe. It gives you some hope. And finally, act toward experimentation. So you identify your single day one action and then you do it. And when you have the benefits of a cohort, so what is a cohort? Cohorts are people who are walking alongside you, who are at your same level. They are pure upshifters. They are individuals that are really people who accelerate you. I don't know if you have any of those people in your life. I know I have a few in my life, and I am so grateful for them. They really do encourage me to suit up and show up. Innovation accelerates in curated cohorts, which is why I created the CEO Innovation Cohort. You can let go of the old belief of I have to do this alone, controlling everything, masking, not, only releasing your truth in bits. And you can have a group where you let it all go and you can actually get some real advice and not advice that, oh, you should do this, but more like, hey, have you considered XYZ? You can move into a new reality. Breakthroughs compound with the right room, collaborating with peers, sharing truth, and leveraging collective wisdom. All of this guides rapid experimentation, but it also increases your ability to innovate. So let me tell you a story. 4 months into my master's program, I was laid off. It was supposed to be the dream job. I was working with a software company. I was going to be offered equity. It was really the dream. And I had been there a year. We were starting equity discussions. I was riding really high, and I had automated from the majority of their customer success process and a lot of their front end sales process. I just automated a lot of what was happening there, and did so well that they decided that they were going to reinvest in their sales function and increase their sales function. Well, I'm not a salesperson. I do. I'm a great teacher. I can help people, but I'm not a salesperson. So I was laid off 4 months into my master's program at University of Southern California. And it was a tough time. It was really, really tough. And I was really fortunate to have a cohort, professors and peers walking alongside me. The cohort that I had at the time helped me birth my firm, which turns 10 next year, by the way. And all of this happened because I had the right people. I had the right people by my side. I had professors who would ask me great questions. I had cohort mates who were trying to accomplish the same thing I was to get that master's degree, who cheered me on. I'm still in contact with a lot of them today. So a cohort really, really matters. So CEOs who join my innovation cohort move from mass exhaustion to measurable innovation in a week. Faster growth, less friction, real results. So really, you're no longer just a CEO. You're an innovation leader who's shaping what's next for your company, and you're not doing it alone. Executive isolation is such a problem, and and this really, I hope, is the thing that solves it. So, your most powerful question isn't what's now, it's what's next. What's next for you? What is the thing that, we're wrapping up 2025. What's the problem that you face this year that is going to propel you into your innovation next year? Your breakthrough decision is really one decision away, and there is a cost to inaction. Every day you mask up, the hidden costs compound. You have stalled growth, eroded trust, missed innovation windows. The cost of not taking action on innovation opportunities is significant. So I'm opening up 10 seats for the next curated CEO Innovation Cohort, and that starts in January. So this cohort is curated. It is executives who are at the same revenue level as you. Maybe they're facing the same problems as you are, but you get to face them together versus alone. It is invitation only. It is application based. It is highly curated. And an algorithm is going to match you with others who are going to walk alongside you, but in a small group. This cohort is fully protected by NDAs, non solicits, all of the things that keep whatever IP you might be discussing, anything like that, completely safe. So it provides you a space that you can truly open up and innovate. So your first step is a breakthrough call. And we have Kate here who is doing the breakthrough calls, and just like I helped one person on this call today, she's going to help you, and she's going to help you understand what that domino is and walk you through some great exercises to determine your readiness for innovation. So if you feel called to this, I just want to encourage you to stop performing and start transforming. The mask is heavy. The mask is really heavy when you wear it, and it feels good to take it off. We know when we go home and we unwind and whatever, it feels good just to let go, right? So stop performing, start transforming. I'm also offering a bonus to the first 5 executives, CEOs who register, and that's going to be the materials for this in advance. So the cohort doesn't start until January, but you're going to have the materials now so that you can make some progress before the end of the year. The fast action bonus is the first 5 executives to be accepted. And this is a $497 value. You get the 5x5 breakthrough framework, the critical opportunity map, the leadership messaging blueprint, the C-suite alignment checklist, and you get it immediately before January, before the cohort starts. So that's what I got for you today. I'm actually going to jump on to my next meeting. But if this was valuable to you, please drop yes in the chat. And I just want to know, I'm on a mission to help 10,000 business leaders next year. I really want to combat the problem of executive loneliness and make a difference. So I hope I have helped you today by making that difference for you today. I'm Dr. Diane Dye. I am the strategist that executives bring in the room when they want to grow their companies, increase revenue, innovate, and make a difference in the world themselves. So Really great meeting you. And have a great rest of your week. Do share this. Follow me for the next one. Bye bye.